Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down complex ideas by going straight to the source material itself.
All right, let's get right into it. We're talking about a symbol you've probably seen 1,000 times, the inverted cross. But what if the story we've always heard about it isn't the whole story? Our source material today presents a pretty radical argument that completely flips its traditional meaning. Is it about ultimate humility? Or could it be about the ultimate denial?
So, to start, let's just quickly go over the traditional story, the one most of us are familiar with. This is the account of St. Peter's crucifixion that comes down to us through church tradition.
And it's a really powerful story, right? The idea is that Peter was crucified in Rome, but he felt he was completely unworthy to die in the same way as Jesus. So he requests to be crucified upside down. And just like that, the inverted cross becomes this incredible symbol of his humility, of his martyrdom. It's seen as this profound act of respect.
Okay, but here's where our source material throws a wrench in the works. To really get the counterargument, we need to go back in time. Way back, actually, to a pretty shocking conversation between Peter and Jesus that happened long before any of this.
So, picture this. Jesus tells his disciples for the first time that he has to go to Jerusalem to suffer and be killed. And Peter's reaction? He doesn't just question it. The text says he literally pulls Jesus aside to rebuke him. He's not just confused, he is actively, fundamentally opposing the very idea of the cross.
And wow, Jesus' response it's harsh. Incredibly severe. He looks at Peter, his right-hand man, and says, "Get behind me, Satan." He calls him Satan, the very same name he used for the devil who tempted him in the desert. This isn't just hey, you got that wrong. This is a massive, profound accusation.
So the source really hones in on this. The crucial point isn't just the name-calling, it's why. Why Satan? It wasn't because Peter was being arrogant or something. No, Jesus identifies Peter's direct opposition to the cross itself as the problem. He's being a stumbling block, a satanic obstacle to God's entire plan.
And here's the thing. According to our source, this wasn't just a one-off bad moment for Peter. No, this was actually the start of a pattern, a consistent pattern of resistance to the cross that the source argues pretty much defined his life from that point on.
Let's actually trace this out. We've got a little timeline here that shows this pattern. First, you've got this moment in Matthew 16 where he rebukes Jesus and gets called Satan. Fast forward to crucifixion light, what does he do? He denies even knowing Jesus, not once, but 3 times. And then, even after the resurrection, Jesus gives this prophecy in John 21 about how Peter is going to die.
And the wording of that prophecy is so important. Jesus doesn't say, "You'll bravely face martyrdom." He says that when Peter is old, someone else will lead him where he does not want to go. The source argues this isn't just about being scared in the moment. It suggests a deep, ongoing unwillingness, a continuation of that very same resistance to the cross he'd shown from the beginning.
All right, so let's put it all together. You've got him being called Satan for resisting the cross. You've got this prophecy that he'll die an unwilling death. With all that as our backdrop, let's go back and look at his famous upside-down crucifixion again.
Now, to reevaluate it, the source needs a measuring stick, right? A standard for what it even means to be crucified with Christ. And for that, it points us to the Apostle Paul, specifically to this verse in Galatians.
And listen to this. Paul says, "I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me." The key idea here is the total annihilation of the self. The I is gone. The focus shifts completely away from the individual and 100% onto Christ.
And this is where the argument really clicks into place. Just look at this comparison. The standard from Paul is no longer I who live. It's about getting rid of the self. But what is Peter's request? I am unworthy. See that? It immediately makes the crucifixion about him, his personal feelings, his unworthiness. By inverting the cross, he's modifying it, making it about I, which is the polar opposite of Paul's standard of no longer I.
So, if you follow this line of reasoning, if you accept this framework, it kind of forces you to completely rethink Peter's legacy and the meaning of that famous inverted cross.
The conclusion then is pretty stark. The inverted cross isn't some beautiful act of humility that redeems all his past mistakes. No, the source claims it's the final, ultimate confirmation of that lifelong pattern of resistance. It's a physical symbol of his denial of the true meaning of the cross, and one last act that makes it all about him.
And this takes us back to that first critical conversation. It's so wild, right? In almost the same breath, Jesus says, "You are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church." And then he says, "Get behind me, Satan." Rock or stumbling block? The source leaves us with a huge question. Which Peter is the real foundation for everything that's built on him? The rock of confession or the stumbling block of denial?
So, our source leaves us with this really provocative question to chew on. If a symbol's meaning is really tied to its origin, what does the inverted cross truly represent? It's a challenge, really, to all of us, to look past the stories we've heard and really dig into the origins of the symbols we think we know. What do they really mean? Thanks for digging in with us on this one.